anybody heard of rubber duck debugging? So rubber duck debugging is a real thing, and it is actually used by computer programmers and computer scientists. And some of the students that we've worked with on our peer mentoring scheme, one of them told me that their tutor actually gave them a rubber duck, a physical rubber duck. And the idea is, when they're tackling a particularly difficult piece of code, they sit the rubber duck on their desk and they have a conversation with the rubber duck. So, okay, I've got a really difficult bit of coding here that I've got a problem with, I'd like you to help me with that. So they will then go through their difficult problem, explaining it to the rubber duck. And when they get to a point where it's not making sense, they'll be able to recognise that themselves, because they're not just thinking through their problem, they're actually verbalising it. So we can often sort our own problems out by actually verbalising it. So you might have had a conversation with a friend where you've got a difficult decision to make, and you've thought it through in your head, and you haven't come up with a solution. But if you actually verbalise it, you may have had those sort of eureka moments where you're actually saying it and you realise you know what the answer is. And the rubber duck is brilliant because they're just there listening. So in some ways, rubber duck is acting as a mentor because they're listening, but obviously they can't give the additional support of actually responding and showing verbal cues. But it is something that's used and has been used in universities as well to help students talk through their own problems. But just the nature of verbalising it rather than just thinking it through is really helpful. So in some ways, be a bit like a rubber duck with your listening skills, but then obviously you can respond as well.